want to start?
All right, we're now recording. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. It's 6:02. Hold on. This meeting is being recorded. Okay. So, shall we start, everyone? Everybody good?
Yes.
Right. So, welcome everybody to the October Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Just a word of, I always read this. Please note at the beginning of each Park and Recreation Commission meeting, there is an opportunity for public comment related to any park or recreation topic. These comments should address a topic not included on the agenda or those items on the agenda that do not have a public comment included as part of the agenda item. You'll have a maximum of 2 minutes to share your comments. If you do not have the opportunity to speak during the allotted time, please submit your comments in writing to the Park and Recreation Commission at Park and Rec Commission, all one word, at brooklinema.gov. Thank you very much. Now on with the agenda. All right.
Minutes.
I hope everybody's had time to review our minutes from the September meeting and have gotten any corrections or additions to Lori. And that being said, would someone like to move to accept the minutes?
I'm happy to do that, Clara. Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Jane moved acceptance of minutes from September. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think that was Carol. So
Carol.
thank you. Thank you, Carol. Okay, we're going to have a vote and I'm going to call your name as I see you on the screen. Carol Caro,
Yes.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Debbie, and I
Yes.
practiced your name. Sorry about that. Thank
That's
you.
okay.
Yes, from
Yes.
Debbie. Michael,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you on that. Is there public comment on any park and recreation topic that's not part of the agenda?
If anybody in the public wants to make a comment, just raise your hand via the Zoom button and we will promote you to speak. And Clara, I'm not seeing any.
Okay, great. So the next item on our agenda is the outdoor dining program. It's a hearing for Punch Bowl, and we'll have a discussion and a vote. So who wants to set this up? Mile, or do you want to do it, or?
Yeah,
Do you want
I
to
can talk
present it?
about that. So the Punch Bowl, as you all saw in the agenda packet, sent their application for seasonal outdoor dining use. So this application is for next year. I think it's April through November. And this is, again, like their yearly application that they submit and come in front of the commission for the vote for use of the space. So essentially, this space is located towards the right side, towards the Olmsted Park River Road side of the Hilton Hotel. Part of that like outdoor plaza space on the paved space is blocked off for vehicular traffic with the Jersey barrier. So they're seeking to provide, again, as you likely saw in the agenda packet, their tables and chairs for essentially the outdoor dining. Go ahead.
So Mile, this is a year, they're going to have to do this yearly.
Yes.
And we've gone over this before.
Exactly.
And it's also my understanding that you do not have to, one does not have to be ordering food there to sit in. Is that still true?
I know there's a small section towards the eastern side of where, on the river side, where there are a few amenities, and I believe there are some seating as well that is open to public, and the sidewalk access on either side of those, the seating space is also going to be open and accessible to public for circulation.
Right, because there is a bike repair, one of those bike
Yes,
repair
exactly,
stands
bike
there
path and repair stands.
and some seating area.
Right.
And have you had any reports of conflicts or problems there?
So far, over this past summer, I don't think I've heard anything specifically in this area.
Thank you. Commissioners, does anyone have a comment or question?
That was my question, whether there had been any indications from the public that they were dissatisfied with this arrangement.
Right, Jane, Carol, sorry. No, so far we haven't heard anything. And, I know at one point earlier this year when, back in March, when this was brought in front of the commission, there was some discussion about incorporating some art into the Jersey barriers. And, back
Oh,
then we had mentioned trying to, make a collaboration with the economic development who oversees a lot of the art work within the town. So, which we didn't get to do for last summer, or this summer, it feels like last summer. But now that this is going, for next summer, so much ahead of time, we could definitely work with them to collaborate on that and see if we can, make this a little bit more appealing.
that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. But we haven't really heard any other specific complaints otherwise.
I've biked by there a couple of times. It's always seems well kept and you don't feel like you're intruding on the bike path or using any of that equipment. Any other comments or observations?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna take, and I don't know if you all remember, well, some of you may remember some, but this is not, the restaurant is a contracted to Hilton, so they are not part of the Hilton Corporation, but they do, they rent the space or something. They are an independent restaurant, as I understand it. Is that your understanding too, Mealy?
Yes, that's correct, Carol.
I think they're Lamora Short.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the permit?
So moved.
I'll
Thank you,
second that,
Carol.
Jane.
Thank you, Jane. So I'm going to call your name again, same order. Carol,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So that passes. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a discussion on the proposed town meeting articles, number 6 and number 7. And the first one is the daycare bylaw from the town edited to comply with the Dover Amendment. I hope you've had time to look at it. It's a little confusing with all the crossouts, but basically they're trying to make it comply with the Dover Amendment, which we are required to do. Someone brought it to my attention that we have had competing interest with daycares, whether they're family daycares or corporate daycares, using the playgrounds, and I assume that will continue and we will work with them as much as we can, but this bylaw really doesn't have to, that doesn't address that. It's just keeping we're making sure we're in compliance with what the state says. So Mealy, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, Clara, I did have a chance to investigate a little bit more on uses of park spaces by daycare providers, and technically they are, as part of their permit application, there is a channel that they have to go through the health department, and health department is technically the right way is to let us know, Parks and Open Space team know that a certain daycare wants to use a certain park space. So we are supposed to be reviewing that application. So going forward, we will be ensuring that we know ahead of time, who is using the space in addition to our, community members, and, just going through that process.
That's great. The bylaw does say that the Park and Rec is supposed to
Right.
review the application,
Right.
because when you apply to have a licensed daycare, whether it's in-home or a commercial daycare, you have to show what you're going to use for open space. You're not required to have open space at the premises of the daycare, but you need to make it clear how you will be taking the children outside, because it is expected that you will provide outside time. Carol has her
Yeah,
hand.
who is managing this list of the hours in the parks that the different daycare centers can use?
That it was done, as I understand it, was done among the daycares because it was a problem for them as well. So they were
I thought
trying.
the town, I was a town meeting member when this all came up. And I thought there was, some kind of schedule of, say, daycare X would be at this park from 10 to 10:30, and daycare Y would be from 10:30 to 11. And I don't know who was managing that, but I know it was a big issue at the time.
So, Claire, I'll jump in here. So historically, the Board of Health took lead on that. There was an individual that worked for the department. As of today, that individual is no longer with the town. So there's not a point person per se that organizes this, but I know there was a method to it. There was an algorithm with it of coordinating it. So it's something that Millie and I have been talking about to see where that lands. But I know that has historically gone through the Board of Health because they are the licensing body for all the daycares and childcare centers. So they help coordinate that.
So even though it's in the parks, which,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep.
I hope somebody takes that on, because I think it's a very valuable thing to have in place.
Yeah, I would agree. I have a question in this, Clara, this is for you. We're hearing this presentation and it doesn't really feel like we have a real say in what happens, right? It's sort of, we'd have to comply with the Dover Amendment. It's pretty amazing to me what some of the things, because it includes parking and sometimes even what I would call safety on streets and whatnot. So, but it's basically saying because of the Dover Amendment, we just have to strike everything out and none of it applies. Why would we be taking a vote? I guess it's my question. We're being told, not asked.
I don't know if we are taking a vote on this.
Oh,
we're
okay.
not taking a vote. It really, there's nothing we can do about it, but I
Okay.
thought as the Park and Recreation Commission, and because daycares have, there have been discussions, so as not to say controversies about the playgrounds, it was brought to my attention, and I thought it was something that the Park and Recreation Commissioner should be
Got it.
aware of.
Thank you for clarifying that. I
we-
just was, yeah.
We should be aware of it.
Mhm.
It's beyond our purview to mandate anything,
Right.
etc.
But I do
But-
think Carol's point's a good one, that we should know a listing of them when they're using them. I mean, obviously we can't restrict anything, nor would we. It's not even appropriate, but we should know at least. And I don't know if Antonia, she was trying to call me just before the meeting, but she was driving. I don't know if Antonia's joined the meeting, but she gave me something
she
to
is.
read. If she's on the meet, okay, I'll be quiet then.
Because yes, and it's the health department that should be coordinating with the park and open space, but also I think the daycares, when this was first implemented, were eager to implement it because it helped them make
Mhm.
sure the playgrounds weren't too crowded.
Mhm.
Did the proponents of this warrant article ask that the Park and Rec Commission take a stand?
No,
Then we don't need to vote.
no, there's that, and
There is no
it's
vote.
something we should be aware of. I know Antonia has her hand up. Can we, let me ask first if there are any other commissioners who have questions or want to make a statement before Antonia is recognized. Seeing none. Antonia, you're muted, but I think Lori has made you able to speak.
Thank
So-
you. Sorry, I'm in the car, everybody. As you know, I live in North Brookline, in one of the more denser areas and one of the parks that really gets quite a lot of use. And my concern is mainly our small pocket parks that over the years have been so overused, and we are having a hard time protecting the existing trees and plantings and things like that. So from the research that I did with this daycare, yes, we cannot, family daycare, we cannot, and nor would we want anybody to use. We, from what I saw, it says that we inherently cannot deny anybody to use our public spaces, but we can require permits, which allows them and Park and Rec to stipulate some time to reject that.
Antonia, it's very
List
hard.
of-
I can't understand. Can
Alright.
other people?
Let me see if I can take you off.
I think she's
Can you
frozen.
hear that or not?
And Antonia, you're freezing and you're every few words we can hear, but not many. So
Turn off hold on,
Maybe if you shut off your for video, yeah, that might help.
the camera. There, is that better?
It is a
Yes.
little better.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just to reiterate, I just wanted to say, I don't think anybody wants to inherently deny anybody to use our public space. Over the years, it's also Brookline residents, right? Over the years, our daycares in North Brookline have increased substantially, and the small parks are getting overused with daycare, birthday parties. Sometimes we have 6 birthday parties at Emerson Garden. We have e-bikes now, commercial use, letting people ride their bikes or test bikes in our parks. We have residents who want to relax. So I just think that if we can help, if this does become something that, you know, grows substantially, that we see where all these kids go. The parents I get talking to me saying they can't go to their playground because there are so many children from daycares there. So they're pushed off somewhere else. I don't think that that's fair when to me, it's a commercial use. It's a commercial use. So I think somehow if we can monitor where all these uses are happening in our small parks, it would be great. And that was my request tonight, to bring back some monitoring. I know that a lot of activities that take place in our parks are not permitted any longer. And there are conflicts with that too. It'll be interesting to see. Tim, I know, sorry, I can't see you, but it would be interesting to see how many permits you occur, and somehow we do a better job at getting permits. Maybe we could find some more revenue to help maintain our parks, you know, all sorts of things. So that would be my strong request. I'm a little bit frustrated that we try to protect our open space and yet we're told we don't need to protect our open space and how they're getting used. So that's it.
So
Thank you.
thank
Th-
you.
Thanks, Antonia. I think we heard most of it. You broke up a little bit, but I think you did finish. So thank you very much for your comments. One thing I heard Antonia say, you know, there are lots of birthday parties. Well, birthday parties are supposed to get permits. So there are uses in the park where permits are required and they still don't get them. But I guess I would, Tim or Millie, I don't know which of you would be the best person to check with the health department. Tim raised
Yeah.
his hand and see, can we get at least the commercial daycares to have, or any licensed daycare, you should look into both, if they can be required to have permits. And they could be a repeating permit, you know, 5 days a week at 11 o'clock for an hour or whatever. But it would be nice if you could look into that and report back to us.
Yeah, I can take that on. The Recreation Department permits out the fields for use, so that would fall under our purview. So I'm happy to take that on.
Thanks, Tim. Any comments from commissioners? I see Jane has her
I
hand up.
have a quick question. So if I think I heard Antonia correctly, she was asking for permitting of the parks from the daycares. And is that something we do or something we don't do?
We do.
I don't
I
think we
don't-
permit them
I
now.
don't think you do anymore. It was done once upon a time, and then that list, as Tim said, got dropped. I think they tried to self-monitor. And again, you know, if you go around at lunchtimes or just before lunchtime, sometimes there are 4 daycares waiting in line for our play structures.
Hmm.
I mean, they really are quite popular, so it should be. I'm concerned that we're gonna overpopulate certain areas and these new daycares won't have where to go. That's my big concern.
So may I ask a question? Does the Dover amendment, as what we just, went through, it said local zoning laws and whatnot can't, but does local permitting laws, are they also forbidden? Like if we had a permitting process?
I don't know. I don't know.
It just seems like that was the question that Carol was asking and that Antonia's raising. I don't want to speak for Carol, but it seemed like, how do we know who's in
Well,
there?
there was a town meeting. This was an
Right.
issue. I don't know if any of the other views who've been in town meeting in the last 10 years remember this. About this was an issue, that the overcrowding of parks and conflicting daycare centers being there at the same time, and that this was passed, that they would have a schedule or whatever you want to call it, and of the time, say, as I mentioned, daycare X would be there at a certain time and daycare Y at another time, so that the park wasn't totally overrun.
But as I understood, it was totally self-policing. That you had your time slots, but there was no one there to say, hey, you're
Oh,
here
well, that's
now.
on many things, Clara, and this
I know.
town is
I'm just making that clear. It's
enforcement.
self-policing. Self-policing.
We can create all kinds of things, but if we don't have the ability to enforce, we might as well not create them.
And as I also understood, they weren't
So-
technically permits. They were just sort of agreements of when they would use the playground.
Yeah.
So I think Tim and has been kind enough to volunteer to look into this, whether it can be permits, whether it's something that the Board of Health, the Health Department would issue, or something they would send to Tim, to the Recreation Department, because they're the ones who permit our open space. But before I close this subject, I did see Sean Lynn Jones had his hand up. So sorry, Sean, I'll recognize you.
Just a very quick comment on the procedure. Like Carol, I do remember many, many discussions of this in many different committees and at town meeting. But the basic question would be, ask town council what the town can do in terms of permitting that would not be prevented by the Dover Amendment. I don't know what his answer would be, but I think his opinion would be important here, because there are lots of things that I think can be done that aren't covered by the Dover Amendment, but his opinion would be key.
Thanks, Sean. And thanks, Antonia,
Can
for
I-
bringing this to our attention.
Thank you. Can I just add that at the meeting that I was at, that I attended, the land zoning advisory, Mr. Simpson was there, and he did say that this was a question for Park and Rec. So permitting is a question for you if you want to do it. So I think you have some leeway to say you want to do it. So thank you, Sean. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, it sounds like this is not going to be our last discussion, and maybe we can bring it up next at our next meeting and see how we will handle this situation, go forward with it. So thank you. Okay, then we also have another article, Article 7, to discuss concerning the Clark Road Overlay District. Mile, are you going to present this as well, or do you want me to start? Whatever. Go ahead if you want.
Yes, you can go ahead and start, Clara.
So the Maimonides School is selling what it's not, which I understand to be the elementary school, and it's one parcel, but it's in 2 zoning districts. And there's Article 7 has been put forward, as I understand it, and please correct me, Mile, if this is not correct, by the developer for rezoning of this parcel. And right now in the parcel that they're trying to rezone, there is a playground that's owned and taken care of by the Maimonides School, as well as an artificial turf area. And so this will allow them, their proposal is to rezone so the Maimonides School can add a floor to that building. They're not going to remove that building and develop it into apartments. I've heard it was workforce apartment, but I do not know that. I can't remember if that's written in the description of the article. And they also want to put townhouses on the piece of land that is currently the field, the artificial turf field. And so I thought it'd be worth discussing, because I think that, some people have said, oh, the town should buy this land, or should the developer be required to provide open space? And I, can the Park and Rec Commission or the Park and Open Space Department, I guess it's probably be the commission, put in a comment to be read at town meeting regarding this warrant article and the legalities of it, etc. That's what I wanted to discuss, but Mile or Tim may be able to add more. Mile?
Yes, I thank you for summarizing that, Clara. I think, we should definitely, look at the opportunity of thinking of this essentially as an opportunity to expand our existing open space. And we do have to weigh in several factors. First, our current capacity of kind of taking on one more open space. And, if we do take on and renovate the space, how we're going to be funding that and how we're going to be then subsequently, taking care of the space. Because as you all know, we are really at capacity with our existing spaces to take care of that and operate that. But however, having said that, this is a great opportunity, as we discussed, to kind of expand our existing spaces and really using this open space, as a great amenity to, the residents for this, for this proposed housing and also the neighborhood. So there could be multiple ways we can think about that. Either is it something the town acquires and the developer pays for the renovation and helps take care of that, or is it the town who does everything, or this is still owned by the developer, but they renovate and maintain that, but it could be deemed as a public open space. So again, various factors to weigh in, but like I said, Clara, if the commission has a point of view that, we'd want to share at the town meeting, I think that would be fantastic.
And I see Carol with her hand up because I think the things, they're asking for upzoning. They're asking to change the zoning to allow them to build more. And can't the town, the town supports this, we want to increase our tree canopy. Can't they be required to turn that? Maybe they don't get to build the townhouses. They plant that land with trees and they maintain the playground that they have for the use of their new residents, as well as, I assume the playground now is used by the neighborhood when the school's not in session. So, and rather than costing, they're gonna get something, they're gonna get upzoned. So shouldn't the town get something in return? That's Carol, go ahead.
And, I can relate this to the Waldo Durgan project. When they were negotiating for zoning changes and things like that, one of the parts in the bargaining was that the parking lot that now exists on John Street in the next block, that they would extend that and make it into a park. And that in those parking lot spaces would be under the building that they are building for the public. And I think I think it's called a memorandum of agreement. And in that, you expect a developer, if they're asking for some kind of zoning change, to give something back to the town. At least that's the way it's been in other things I've been involved with over the years. And I think that what you're saying, Clara, is to get the developer and the town to agree that some of the land will be left for open space. And, that be part of the thing for the town supporting a zoning change.
And yes.
Yeah.
I think that would be, because anyway, everybody can know why. But any other comments, Jane?
I would just like to say I support what both you and Carol have said. I mean, I do think we should ask for something in turn from the developer regarding open space. You can't go back and put that in after the fact, after the buildings are already there. So now's the time for us to ask for that. And I do think they're asking for a zoning change. And I think it's very important at town meeting. I think, overwhelmingly people do support the idea of workforce housing, which is what is in the proposal and whatnot. But I do think we should be negotiating for open space. We would not get it after the fact. So I should say green space. Because there's a difference, right? But the trees and the green space and the park. So I totally agree with what each of you have just said. So thank you.
So when is town meeting? Is it after our November meeting?
So it starts the 17th, I think.
It does.
Okay. So if we generated a letter to be read at town meeting and to be sent out by town, to be sent to town meeting, I don't know how it would work. It would be too late to be incorporated in the book, our comments, correct? When do you have to get things incorporated into the book for the 7th? Or is it no longer printed? Is it just?
Well, all these warrant articles are still going through the process of AC and
So
select
you have
board.
time.
We have time. They have not been, this has not been voted on by AC and it has not been voted on by the select board at this point.
Okay, so we should write something up, then we as a commission I'm trying to just think how to move this forward.
How do we do that,
to get it
right?
sooner.
Well,
So
you could do something saying that you support the project, but with the caveat that there be some green space left for the residents of this new building to enjoy besides the rest of the town. That
yes, I think, yes, yes, I'd like to make it a little
stronger than just a little.
yeah, no, but I'm just saying.
I think given the lawyer, we need to be very specific.
Yes.
But I think Sean Lynn Jones might actually help us out here. So I don't know if we want to move to that because I do know the Green Space Alliance is in a position. So maybe that will help us to think about how we move forward if we want to go that route.
Sean,
be
go
okay?
ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
if Sean has his hand up, maybe he has a suggestion.
I think
And
he
you-
froze.
Sean, you're
He looks
frozen.
frozen.
You're frozen, Sean. So I guess, perhaps we should take a vote as a commission, if so, I think as chair, I can make a motion that we write a letter or,
I think, I do
We
think our
make-
letter could go to both the select board and to the AC. I think they would be interested in what we have to say. So I do think that's at least a starting point. And if Sean gets
I
back
think
on
the
and is unfrozen.
subcommittee, I think the subcommittee of the
Subcommittee,
advisory
definitely.
committee, I don't know which one is doing this, you know, there's so many, you never can figure out. But Dennis Doherty would know which subcommittee has it, and
I think I have it flagged on my own calendar, but
Yeah.
anyway, we definitely could put a letter forward, Clara, to your
Yeah.
point, to at least them, and then,
but I
know,
think it's important that we say we support the creation of this, you know, working people's housing
mhm.
there. I mean, that I don't want us to come across as being only parks and trees and no housing.
no, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
But I
that
mean, I think that's important that this article is about zoning for the housing and that you support that, but you also wanted to include parks for, you know, open space.
But Carol, just so you understand, they want to fill up the open space that exists, the artificial turf area with townhouses, I think it is, saying that's going to support the workforce housing. I'm not sure of the, of the economics of it, but I just think we need to write a letter that
Right.
we have to be clear, not some open space, but significant open space and maintaining the playground. And so can we send that letter, Millie, can we send that out to commissioners for them to vote on it? I don't, not online. Do we have to vote on it on?
I-
you
Can
vote
we
by
send a
email.
letter that the commission hasn't voted on, or do we have to wait until November to get the commission to vote on it? It's my question. We can draft the letter, send it out in the
Mhm.
package.
But can you vote by email?
That wouldn't be public, I don't think.
I don't think so. That's the
Oh,
problem.
Okay.
But I do think we could draft a letter and then vote on it in that meeting and then get it off to the various committees. I do think that would work.
And that'll be time enough before
Definitely.
okay, so I don't know when our November it's like this. Do you know when our November meeting is?
Yes, it's on a Wednesday next time, I believe November 12th, because 11th is Veterans Day.
Oh, well,
Right.
that's good. It's a week before town meeting starts.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's time.
Okay, terrific. Well, working with Millie and Mile, sorry, Millie, we'll draft up a letter to present to you guys next meeting. And now Sean is no longer frozen. Would you like to say something?
Thank you. Somehow I got disconnected just at that moment, and maybe you've resolved everything. I did want to say that the deadline for the combined reports is noon on November 6th, but maybe you already knew that.
No, we did not. Thank you.
Okay, I just pulled up the schedule here, and the report is then sent to the printer on November 7th. However, as I think Jane said, now that we do these things online, the physical copy is far less important, and it's constantly updated online. And maybe it's also been pointed out that in order to take a position, make a recommendation, the commission would need to have a public hearing prior to a vote, which I assume it would do at its next meeting. And
Right.
if that's the
We can't
case, I
have a
won't get into
public
the
hearing.
substance at all. I sat through the advisory committees, subcommittees, hearing on this for over 3 hours the other night. So I know more than I've ever wanted to know about this warrant article, but I won't go into all those details.
Thank you.
Carla has her hand raised, Clara.
Sure. Carla, go ahead.
Thanks very much. To follow up on what Sean was saying, it is the Land Use Subcommittee of Advisory that's been assigned this Clark Road article. They will be meeting again, and I can shoot you that date as soon as I find it. And finally, there is probably going to be a supplemental mailing for the combined reports. which is all the stuff that doesn't get into the first mailing. And the deadline for that is coincidentally the same day as your meeting. It's November 12th.
So can we send it out by midnight on the 12th?
I think you probably could, and I think it would make it under the wire, but I think it would be, especially if you let Melissa Goff know it's coming.
It says noon on the schedule, but as Carla says, you know,
But it's
12 a.m., 12 p.m., you know.
exactly.
Only semantics.
I
Too
mean,
bad
the
they
other,
didn't just say 12.
the other thing is that we could vote today on requesting that the warrant article ensure that open space remains as a significant open space remains that could include the preserving the existing playground as well as preserving, you know, a significant amount of the field area.
That would be a great idea, but I think that qualifies as a recommendation to town meeting. And having written that bylaw and rewritten that bylaw, it's pretty clear that if you make a recommendation to town meeting on a warrant article, you need to have a public hearing first.
Okay, well then we can't have the public. We'll have the vote, we'll write up something and have a public meeting and a vote on the 12th.
So that'll be the hearing.
It'll be the hearing, we can have the hearing during our Park and Rec meeting.
Great.
Which we often do that. And Carla, your hand still looks like it's raised. Do you have something else to add?
Yeah, I just looked up the subcommittee is meeting again on the 20th to take up this article.
Okay.
And now I'll figure out how to
What's
look.
the
at my hand.
subcommittee, Carla? Which subcommittee?
It's the Land Use and Zoning Subcommittee that's chaired by David Pollock.
Okay.
I don't know what time they're meeting, but if you can go on to the
Yeah,
town,
if you go online, you can find out.
right.
October 20th, it will be the Subcommittee of Land Use and Zoning
Correct,
meeting on Article 7.
correct.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Ooh. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments from the commission members or the public on this article? On this discussion, it's not our article. On the Article 7, any comments? Seeing none, we will move the Parks and Open Space FY27 CPA projects vote for letter of support, but I think that's for an initial project that we haven't discussed. We did vote to support. I can't remember whether there are 3 or 5 of them before.
Yeah, Clara, so the next one on the agenda is to vote for a letter of support for sustainability and natural resources projects for CPA project application for FY25. And we have Alex Cassie from our Conservation and Natural Resources Manager here to speak about that. And I believe I had sent the draft letter of support for both parks and open space and sustainability earlier this afternoon. Hopefully you all had time to take a look at that.
Amelia, I just want to make it clear, we're looking at one article. We've already looked at the other ones that are coming out of
Right.
parks
Yes,
and
parks and
open
open
space and
space.
recreation. but-
Exactly. We looked at it last time. But
And
if you
this
would
is-
like to look through parks and open space, I can quickly go through that again
Yes,
right
and
now.
I think that's great, but just if you sent it this afternoon, I did not see it.
Okay, I apologize for sending it late.
Okay, so thank you. And Alex, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me this evening. So I'm Alex Cassie. I'm the Conservation and Natural Resources Manager through the Division of Sustainability and Natural Resources, which compresses down to a lot of acronyms. But for now, what we want to do is we just thought, we have these couple of projects that we're working on for CPA that run really parallel, if not overlapping, with open spaces and parks and recreation. So we wanted to talk about them a little bit with you and just and ideally get a letter of support from the Park and Recreation Commission as well. So one of the projects should sound pretty familiar in that it's a continuation of one we did last year. So the first of the projects is the invasive species maintenance and monitoring program we're doing at Deep Blakely Horse Sanctuary. So we did apply for and get a CPA grant for this last year. The process that's involved here at Deep Blakely Horse, if you're familiar with the property, is there's a boardwalk that runs through a sort of a swampy area that's been pretty well taken over by invasive Phragmites and buckthorn. And so in meeting initially with contractors during the planning process a year and a half ago, they thought that, and we kind of agreed that the best method for this was going to be in phases, sort of treating essentially strips of this that run along the boardwalk and then moving out as the years go to really come up with a comprehensive plan here. It's a really sensitive area in a wetland resource area, so it requires a very fine touch. This is, herbicide treatment with literal, gloves and an eyedropper in some cases to make sure that we're being as precise and specific as possible, and that we're keeping all the good stuff and getting rid of the things that are gonna wreck the biodiversity values of that place that are just furthered by climate change and all the factors we're dealing with there. So we always had in mind as sort of a multi-year project here. So this is essentially us looking for funding for the next round of treatment and maintenance out in the wetland resource area at Deep Blakely Horse Sanctuary. The second project we have through Sustainability and Natural Resources is a conditions assessment for the historic bridges along the Muddy River. This project would essentially be a comprehensive report on the conditions and as well as a projected timeline and prioritization of repair for the 12 bridges along the Muddy River in Brookline, all throughout Olmsted Park and the Riverway Park. So it's been kind of widely recognized that these bridges are in need of repair, both anecdotal from citizens and community advocates and from DPW staff and from lots of folks that have seen the deteriorating condition of these bridges over time. But this formal assessment hasn't been done. It's sort of a necessary first step if we want to go to the lengths of full historic preservation and try to maintain this, this legacy of historic bridges and access and connectivity along really Brookline's biggest greenway and multimodal transportation system. So this, again, step one, we're looking for a conditions assessment of these bridges, which would kick off the process from there. So those are essentially the two projects we have in the mix: is sustainability and natural resources, kind of overlap with parks and open space and recreation. So I wanted to be available if folks had any questions about those projects.
Thanks, Alex. So I have comments, but I'll recognize my fellow commissioners first. So Carol, go ahead.
I have a question about the bridges. Those bridges are in Brookline and in Boston. Are you collaborating with Boston on this project, or are we taking the full bill?
So thanks, Carol. So there's a couple bridges that are completely in Brookline, the ones that are sort of in that island between Netherlands Road and Brookline Ave, but you're right, and that most of them are kind of co-owned and monitored and maintained by Brookline and Boston. Boston does not have, their CPA requirements are different than Brookline's CPA requirements. So their CPA dollars can't be put toward this kind of assessment that we're looking at. We do have a City of Boston, the Parks and Recreation Department is planning on writing a letter of support for this project. We don't know where exactly where we go from here in terms of next steps, but ultimately this first step would be Brookline's responsibility to look at the bridges across the board and see what is necessary for repair and next steps and prioritization. And when we, down the line, looking at future, plan of action and future grants and looking at that is the next step.
but not getting any money from Boston on this, whether it's their
Primarily for the-
CPA money or any other kind of money.
This would be a Brookline project.
And how
Wow.
much money are you asking for this? What's the number?
We have a tentative estimate of 200,000.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on either one? Let's see. I have a question about the invasive removal. You've gotten money at the Blakely Horse Sanctuary? You've gotten money from this in past years through CPA. Has that money been spent? And meaning, have you done that work?
It is not. So the plan, Clara, was our initial timeline had it set as this current winter we're going into would be our plan for permitting. So we're looking at putting together an invasive management plan for Halls Pond Sanctuary and for D. Blakely Horse Sanctuary to look at what the wetland permitting looks like for executing this plan. And speaking with one of the potential contractors for this, in dealing with the plants that we'd be dealing with, this would be a treatment cycle that would be kind of a late spring, summer into fall cycle. So this would be for the previous funding would fund the invasive management this upcoming spring. And then this next potential cycle would fund the year after.
So the funding you've gotten would fund removal in 2026, spring through fall.
Correct.
And the new funding you're looking for would fund in 2027, spring. I assume same time of year would be appropriate. And would you get
Correct.
the permit to extend for both years so you wouldn't have to do that again?
Right. So wetland permitting, you typically have a 3-year period for an order of conditions, and then that's eligible for 2 additional 2-year extensions.
Okay. And how much money are you asking for the one you're proposing now?
That's a $20,000 grant request.
Okay. And you would, the goal of this evening is for us for the commission to vote on this so we can write a letter of support. Or if you vote against it, we won't write a letter of support.
Sure. So a part of these CPA applications, as I'm sure everyone knows, is an inclusion of letters of support from relevant and adjacent boards, committees, and community organizations. So we're reaching out to lots of folks to drum up support for this initiative to take the first steps toward this historic preservation.
So I'm going to ask if there are any questions or comments from commissioners.
I have a question. Is this the letter? We got a letter in our packet today about the Muddy River bridges and conditions. Is that the letter we're voting on to send?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, am I the only one that got that?
I did not. Neely, will you read that letter, or Alex?
don't
Will you
remember
read that
getting that
letter?
letter.
Because I have not read it. If it came this afternoon, I was doing other things.
While we're waiting for Mealy, can I ask a question? For the CPA, for the other items, we had a meeting, discussed them all, and then voted at the next meeting. If we had enough public process for this particular item, I'm just asking.
So this is being, Jane, these projects are getting reviewed at multiple different commission and board and community meetings. So it's being sort of shopped around to different committees. And they do have, while the CPA deadlines are coming up, there is an extended period of review for letters of support. So there's less of a hard deadline for letters of support if there is additional times for questions or feedback and things like that.
Yeah, it is. I'm not so much concerned about us. I think we've been hearing all along about these projects, but I don't know that the public that attends these meetings or would attend these meetings had they known it was on the agenda have had that same amount of time.
Sure. I believe that the Preservation Committee, who is co-sponsoring this, is also planning on a public meeting to discuss this and their other sort of preservation CPA grants that they're proposing.
So Alex, let me ask you this a different way. If we didn't do it at this meeting and waited till November, is that too late?
Not necessarily. I don't know the hard date. Millie, maybe do you know the hard date for submission
I
of
don't
letters of
know
support?
the hard date either, but I have the same understanding as you, Alex. If we were to give you know, the CPA staff, Lindsay, a heads up that this would be coming, we're able to submit the letter of support after the submission of the full application. So I have up here, I've shared the letter of support, draft letter of support for you all to look at.
But I have a question about the letter on the screen. It says RE Muddy River Bridges Conditions Assessment. Is there something above it that says about the invasive?
Yes, there is
No, I
separate-
see it in the letter, but I don't see it when you look at the top of the page.
Oh, on the here, got it.
Yeah, you should put both
Yes.
on that letter because it is about the Muddy River Bridges as well as the D. Blakely Hoare Sanctuary. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. So we'll take 1 minute to read the letter to ourselves.
And I'm happy if the commission would like to see some, you know, some copy edits to this. I'm happy to do a once over and incorporate or clean up anything you'd like to see.
It says conditions of the bridges and culverts. You're not asking money to look at the culverts though, right? Or is it the bridges over the culverts?
Yeah, so it encompasses all of them, Claire, including the sort of, they're all listed as bridges, but some function as culverts.
Okay,
And I can provide I mean, it's in our full description of the project itself, but if you have questions about the specific spots, I have a list of all those that I can provide as well.
but you had mentioned 12. Are there 12?
There's 12 on our list, yep.
So maybe by just adding the 12 bridges and culverts or something, just so
Sure,
they know the magnitude, I would request that.
okay.
And in this, you don't put the amount of money you're requesting?
I don't think it was.
We haven't in the past, Carol. We're just
Oh,
saying we
okay.
support their request.
Okay.
And would the commission prefer having these as two separate letters for one for each project, or would you prefer to have them as one single letter?
The last time, I forget whether there were 3 or 4 that we supported, we did it as one letter. But it's also interesting, you said, after the first paragraph, you don't say, you know, I guess you'd say that below, the Park and Recreation Commission recommends supporting D. Blakely Hoare Sanctuary as an essential, blah, blah. Do we have another paragraph that says we support the Bridges study? I don't see that.
Oh, that's true. It isn't there.
Yeah, I think it may have been, it's possible the sentence got lost in the editing shuffle.
Or you could just include it in the final paragraph.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think you'd have to have another sentence that says, and we support the study of the 12 bridges and culverts in an effort to ensure their, you know, in an effort to ensure their future protection and maintenance or something like that.
Right.
So should we vote on this since that needs to be added, needs some, if we vote on this next time, does that give you enough time? Or do you want to just say you'll add a sentence that says we support that and then we can vote on this letter? How do-
I'm happy to add I could add a sentence that says something like, the Park and Recreation Commission recommends, supporting the condition of Muddy River bridges as an essential investment in Brookline's infrastructure, history, and connectivity, or something like that.
We're supporting the assessment, right? The assessment of the.
The conditions assessment, that's right.
Yes, yeah, okay. I mean, that's okay with me. I mean, I think I'm gonna be the one signing this. I'll reread
You
it.
have already, Clara. It has your name at the bottom.
So I can clean
No, it
this
doesn't have
language
my
up a little.
signature. Hopefully, Carol, it doesn't have my signature.
I
It
know.
may have my name, but not my signature.
I'm
Correct.
happy to clean the language up per the comments made here and make sure that it accurately reflects both projects.
Okay. Is there any, I'm gonna ask it this way, is there anyone on the commission, that's the 5 of us here this evening, uncomfortable voting on it tonight?
I am. Jane, hi, sorry.
Okay,
I'm not.
I very much support the projects, but I just feel like there's a lot of language change and I would prefer to, if it's okay and November's not going to throw it off, I would prefer to wait.
but I'm not sure if November when does this need to be, we do need to know when it needs to be submitted, guys.
Do we know that?
Sure. I know the application deadline is this weekend. I know that there's an extended period for when we can receive the letters of support. I do not know the hard date on when that is. Sean, do you know?
He vanished.
I just remember that the next meeting of the CPA committee, and maybe Clara knows this too, is November 10th.
Is that the same day as our meeting then?
No, we're the 12th.
The 12th, okay. So then it needs to be before that.
So we meet on the 12th and it is my calendar, November 10th, the CPA.
Well, I support the project, so I'll vote tonight.
Okay, thank you, Jane. So do we have a motion to support the projects as discussed?
I'll make that motion. Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, and Carol seconds it. So I'm now going to call the roll. Carol,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So it's unanimous of those attending. Thank you.
I'll make some recording edits to those, and then I'll send them your way, Clara, for signature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You send them to all of us?
No, I
sign.
sign it for the commission. Oh, but you want to see the letter?
Yeah.
Because we'll post the, yeah, so
It doesn't matter.
Neely, can you send the letter out to
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Without my
will.
signature, and then I'll sign it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
Great. Thanks, Commission.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye, Alex. Okay, now we're running a little late, but that's okay. We have the presentation of the golf course lighting project.
Sorry, Clara, before that, we do have to take a vote on the letter of support for the CPA projects that Parks and Open Space will be submitting. So we did go over the projects last time. Would you like me to just give a 1-minute run through of what the projects are again as a reminder? Or I can also bring up the share the draft letter of support if you would want to take a moment and look at that.
Well, I'm a little confused because I thought did we vote on a support of the?
We did not vote last time. We only went through the projects and we said that we were going to vote on October today.
Okay, and is there a reason why we did vote on them all together since they're?
Like just right now,
Yeah,
Yes, you're right. We could have essentially voted it at it all together.
okay, all right,
Really,
okay,
your
but
information was in our packet though, so, and I mean, hopefully maybe others didn't get a chance, but I did get a chance to review what you put in, and I do feel prepared to vote for that one.
Okay.
So, I'm just gonna say,
well, well,
yeah.
you just, for the non-commission members who may not have know the list, would you just repeat them?
Yes, so we are going to be applying a CPA funding for Old Bearing Ground under the historic preservation. Let me actually share my screen because I do have the slides up. Where we are seeking to restore the remainder of the tombs within the cemetery. We are currently working with Structures North, our structural engineer for the project, who's our consultant, who's really experience in working in historic restoration to develop a construction drawings to implement the work. And we have a construction drawings ready this, by sometime this fall. And we're hoping that with the CPA funding, we'll be able to implement that restoration next year. So this is one of the projects. And the second project we are going to be applying for CPA funding is going to be Lars Anderson Park, green infrastructure, drainage improvements, and ecological restoration. So what this essentially, the scope of work for this is the two drainage areas that we recently completed earlier this summer, that the hillside area between the lagoon and the auto museum, where we added a big drainage structure, and also towards Avonside, where we added another drainage structure. So to really kind of complement the drainage work that we did, we, as part of this project, we want to look at the adding green infrastructure and, really thinking about like these wet meadows, the existing wet meadows, and how we can do complementary work to support that. So essentially in the process of doing that, like we would like to look into reviewing adding additional green infrastructure and doing invasive management, invasive removal, and additional planting within this wet area, wet meadow areas. And in addition to that, passive recreation is one of the big elements for Lars Anderson, and we really want to enhance that by thinking about how we create these positive interactions with, the green infrastructure, by thinking about potential boardwalks or viewing platforms, and how that essentially ties with the other circulation systems within the park.
Can you tell us the dollar amount on that?
We are still finalizing that, Clara, right now. I don't have the number yet, but I can give an update on that next time.
Okay.
And finally, this is one of our ongoing applications we have, with CPA funding under open space and recreation. So our goal is to continue to do inventory of existing trees at our public parks and open spaces. And with this data, this data essentially gives us information on size and condition, and if there are any issues, and any planned healthcare recommendations, and identifying heritage trees. And essentially we take that information and think about, what are the next steps that the Parks and Open Space needs to plan for. So those three are essentially our projects for this year. Any questions? Happy to answer any questions right now.
Seeing none, do we have questions from any of the non-commission members attending the meeting? I don't see any hands up. Do we, since we were told about these at our last meeting, and so I assume we're ready to vote. I know Jane is. And so do I hear a motion to approve, to sign a letter, to vote to support, you won't be signing, to vote to support these three projects for CPA funding?
I'll move that motion. It's Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Do we have a second?
I will. Carol.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, I'll have a roll call vote. Carol,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So it's very nice to have unanimous votes from the commission on these CPA projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, now we will go to the golf course.
Great.
So I don't know if you want to start us.
Yeah,
Is Justin going to start us off, or is Tim?
I will kick it off and then I will shoot it over to Justin. So good evening, everybody. Tim Davis, Recreation Director for the town. As mentioned, I'm joined here tonight by Justin Lawson, the General Manager of the Brookline Golf Course, and also David Coolis of Musco Lighting, who's in the audience and will jump in soon. We're here this evening to kind of have a kickoff conversation regarding a proposed capital improvement project at the golf course, which is the installation of athletic lighting to the golf course driving range. As we know here, the golf course operates on an enterprise account, allowing it to be self-supporting. And in order to maintain this, we must look towards alternative and expanded opportunities for revenue growth to grow the operational needs of the course, as well as the demand of golf that we see at the course and here in Brookline. So tonight, Justin and David will be walking through this proposed project, its impact on the course, why we truly believe it's a necessary step in the progression of the course. And then after that, obviously, we're happy to take questions from the commission and then the public. So Justin, I will toss it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. Good evening, commissioners, members of the public. It's a pleasure to be in front of all of you. Tim alluded to some important facts to keep in mind as we talk about the golf course, but the golf course does operate on an enterprise fund. It does not receive any type of funds from the general fund. And as of right now, budgeted for FY26, you can see the chart of our revenue streams, where you can see green fees and cart fees make up about $1.9 million, whereas you can see the driving range makes up about $682,000, almost 30%, in enhancing that those two important round-related budget items. A couple of things to note: we are located in South Brookline. We are not close to mass public transportation, which is a challenge, and our parking lot is often overcrowded and features limited parking during many days of the week during the season. Operations are really controlled by daylight each and every day, from sunrise to sunset. So as we kind of get into our shoulder seasons, that daylight kind of disappears and reduces and really impacts our ability to make revenue. And as well as over the last few years, we have been doing several community events where we're bringing out non-golfers and members of the community to enjoy the beautiful open space that is at the golf course. So why does this project make sense? And as Tim alluded to, it's to install lights on the driving range. As we talked a little bit about driving range revenue, it subsidizes green fee pricing. So it allows us to maintain a value-oriented pricing structure for green fees. There's additional parking available at night because there's no golfers on the golf course. So as we look through operations of how to generate more revenue, this is a win-win situation. Additionally, it's low cost. The driving range is already there. It does not take a lot of staff hours to operate. With East Coast daylight times, they really restrict the shoulder seasons capacity. Right now, we're at 6 o'clock, but next week we're going to 5:30. And then shortly after that, we're going to go to a 5 o'clock close. So it really eliminates the opportunity for the after work practice sessions, those family evenings, to come on out after dinner and enjoy some recreation that we see a lot during the summertime. And then I just touched on it. It's a family-friendly environment up there. We see a lot of kids. We see a lot of new golfers, experienced golfers. It's just a very nice, welcoming environment. And it will allow for accelerated capital investment throughout the property. We've done a lot of work over the years up at the golf course, trying to catch up on deferred maintenance. But we're really kind of just scratching the surface on some of the things that we need to get done to bring the property up to its fullest potential. There is no additional debt that we need to take out to do this project. It's really important to understand that we just are getting ready to undertake a significant drainage project that does have a decent amount of debt authorization, but we're capped. So we need to look other funding sources, and retained earnings, which has about $1 million in it, is a great source of resources to get this project done. Another thing is West Roxbury Parkway. It's a 4-lane divided road that provides a great buffer with street lighting that really reduces any type of impact to the neighboring residential areas. And the cost, it's about $300,000 to do this project. On the right, I put this chart together analyzing the current hours throughout the season. And right now we're about 3,000 hours. And our total revenue, it's about $221 per hour. That is kind of at the bottom line of what we can anticipate from a revenue per hour. And with extending the operational hours of the range with lights to 9:30 closure, 10 o'clock lights off, it really gives us an opportunity at the ground floor to make it an additional $157,000 a year on the low end. This project is really kind of a first phase of a larger driving range improvement plan that we've been developing. So as we kind of develop plans, we want to bring the public in and initiate a public process. So this is the first phase of that. And this is the existing driving range area as we've kind of worked through a landscape architect, coming up with different ideas, how to better utilize and better execute a better experience at the driving range. The lights are the first phase of that. This is a little bit looking further out. The green squiggly lines in the field represent some target greens. We currently do not have a short game facility at the golf course, so we do not really allow chipping, pitching, and those short wedges other than just the existing infrastructure on the range. So this lighting plan that we have is really to kind of light a small area on the range to provide a unique experience that is nowhere around in the area for people to enjoy really high quality golf experience, focusing on shots from 50 yards all the way up to 110 yards. And at this time, I would love to introduce David Koulis to come off of microphone. He is with Musco Lighting. David?
Good evening. David Koulis with Musco Lighting. I'm the local representative here in Massachusetts. Justin, you need me to pull up my slides here, or do you have those?
Yep, I got them.
Oh, perfect. All right, great. Thank you. Yeah, so this evening I'll be reviewing pretty much our site plan and the lighting specifics about the project, and also discuss some of the lighting technology that Musco utilizes, specifically for golf courses. But just real quick about Musco, we're actually located in Iowa. Musco's been in business for about 50 years now, specializing in lighting systems for athletic fields or athletic facilities, both indoors and outdoors. We light facilities around the world now, not just around the US. And if we zoom in towards, say, Massachusetts here, I think we have approximately 1,000 lighting installations in Mass. And then just in Brookline alone, I think we have 6 now. And most recently, similar technology that we'll be talking about here has been installed at Cypress Playground. So these are just a couple examples of golf applications where this type of lighting has been installed, whether it's full-length golf courses, par 3 courses, and specifically for this project, a driving range. What you see on the left there, this is fine too. So this is a photo of a similar driving range. This particular range, again, it's a much higher quantity of hitting bays, so there's significantly more poles involved here. Typically, there is going to be light poles located behind the tee boxes aimed down the range, and then also lighting that'll be located down the perimeter length sides of the range itself. Just one thing to note here is you may notice that, you know, the grass and just the surface is very well lit, and then you really don't see a lot of light spill or glare off in the distance, and you can actually see a pretty dark sky above the facility, which is one thing we'll touch about in a bit here. So this here is the aerial view of the range itself with some of the proposed improvements Justin had mentioned related to the short game area. Currently, the plan shows 2 poles that would be located behind the tee box area. Those are identified as TB1 and TB2. And then further down the range, we'll be utilizing some of the existing netting structure poles to have lighting mounted on those as well. So there wouldn't be any need for additional poles further down the range since we're utilizing some of the existing infrastructure that's already there. And so this is kind of a zoomed in version here. TB1 and TB2, those are proposed currently to be 70 feet tall. And again, all the lighting on those poles would be directed downrange towards the north. And then DR1 through DR6, those are the lighting assemblies that'll be mounted on the existing poles for the netting system. And those will be lighting the areas in between there and then slightly downrange as well.
Oh, God.
And then this page here is a lighting analysis of the horizontal foot candles that'll be projected onto the range. You might want to go to the next page here. We can zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little better. So this is basically a point-by-point foot candle analysis that shows really the brightest area will be around where the tee box is, and then it'll begin to light the mid-range area that is going to be proposed more so for the short game type of use. And then as the light projects down the range, it will taper off relatively quickly. You know, as Justin mentioned, the intent here is to not fully light the range for, you know, hitting 300-yard drives. It's gonna, you know, really be more for a probably about half to 2/3 of the range itself that'll be lit, and then it'll taper off to darkness beyond that. The light itself around the perimeter is going to taper off pretty quickly as well. As you can see, some of the points even at the north end of the range are also already down to the single foot candles. So within about 100 feet or so away from the range itself, that's where the light will taper off and it'll be dark. And again, just for some general reference in terms of setbacks of where the range is, or at least where the lighting will be from, you know, the nearest residential areas. I think to the north, it's 800 plus feet, and it's across several holes of the range. And then to the south, there's approximately about a 300-foot buffer between those adjacent residences and where the range starts. Again, the lighting itself will be all projected to the north, downrange. There really wouldn't be any light going backwards in any, for any reason at all. And this is what the typical light fixture will look like. We have a couple different models, but this is they all have the same form factor. We utilize them for different light output just to kind of meet what we're intended to light here for its purposes. All of the light fixtures are fully shielded, and there'll be all the lights at the top of the pole will be directed downward. So as you move away from the range, especially off-site, there wouldn't be any harsh glare or any light trespass that'll be visible. All the light's going to be projected downward from the top. But for golf, with golf being an aerial sport, we do have a patented technology that Musco utilizes for aerial sports, whether it's golf, baseball, softball, football, any sport where the ball goes up in the air. Looking at it from two different perspectives, you have the light that comes down on the field to see the playing surface and the players. And then for sports where the ball goes in the air, it's very critical to be able to see the ball when it goes high up in the air. And specifically with a golf ball, you know, it can be hit well over 100 feet in the air. So Musco utilizes a light fixtures that are mounted lower down. And this will just be on the two poles behind the tee box. And those lights will actually be inverted and anchored upward to be able to light the ball as it goes so the players can see it in flight throughout its entire path. This here is an illustration of that. On the top is the concept we're talking about, where we have, all of the downward lighting from the top and then some lower light projected upwards so that the ball can be seen as it's in flight. Whereas the traditional type of lighting that doesn't have any shielding or any sort of advanced optics, it's just going to spray light in every direction, which tends to have a much negative impact on the surrounding area. The other nice thing about this is it also, at least from a playability and even just an environmental perspective, I think we're looking at usually less than 10%, 8% of the light that's projected onto the range or the playing area would actually be going upward for the aerial component of the use of the space. And this here is a illustration of what these two different techniques for lighting golf or just aerial sports in general. So on the right is similar to what we're proposing, where you would have all of the light coming down, it's all shielded. You really don't see any of the harsh glare that's often depicted with sports lighting or just even flood lighting in general. Whereas on the left is the traditional approach, which we are straying far away from here for this proposal here. And then the nice thing about this as well, it does create a very dark sky, really a dark contrast for players in particular to be able to see the ball while it's in flight, which is very important in most sports, and then specifically with golf. So pretty minimal impact from an environmental standpoint. And here's a similar range, again, from a different perspective. This will be something similar to what we're proposing would look like right now, where you see majority of the light coming downward. All of the lights are shielded. You don't see any of that harsh glare. And this would be the full range that's lit. I would say for the proposed project, probably half of what you can see here would be lit when it starts to taper off. But this would be a pretty good representation of what's being proposed.
Excellent, David. And so as we understand the value and the desire to collaborate with the public, we've sent a letter out to abutters around the golf course and want to use this platform to let members of the public and friends to come over to the golf course, join us for October 22nd. We're going to have a virtual public meeting with Zoom where we'll kind of present this project and be available to answer any questions. On November 5th, we're actually right after daylight savings time changes. David's going to be in person at the golf course with a sample light. So we'll be able to see it in person right at the driving range. So folks from the community will be able to see exactly what the type of lights we're looking to be a part of this project. And then November 12th, we look forward to coming back to the Park and Recreation Commission and provide a shorter presentation of this project, but also have a public comment during public hearing. And at this time, that concludes my presentation, and we are happy to take any questions and spend some time with you all. Thank you. I think you might be on mute.
Clara, you're muted.
Thank you, Justin. We're going to take questions from the commission first, and then we'll go to the general public, if that's all right. So, commissioners, do we have questions? Carol.
Well, first of all, I have to say I have no comprehension of what a driving range is. And I mean, is there a limited amount of people who can use the range at one time and they just knock their golf balls off and then they have to go out in the field and get them, or how does it work?
So the driving range is a neat part of golf where it's a stationary place where people hit. We happen to have a driving range that can accommodate 24 players at one point in time, and they hit the golf balls. They do not go and get them. Our staff will go get them in a protected vehicle, and we'll collect them and then sell them to the
Oh,
next guest.
because one of the slides that David showed had them people out in the field.
Correct. Some of the golf courses have chosen to light up, you know, a shorter golf course, so people can get out there and play and not necessarily have to hit from
So
the same
this is,
spot.
all right, I get the idea then. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Justin, I thought you were proposing in the future, a short game that would be lit. I thought what were those sort of?
Those are
give a
just
shape.
those. Yeah, those are just going to be target greens. So they're going to be, you know, elements of the golf course just brought to the driving range. So some of the nicer driving ranges have target greens. They're basically green complexes that simulate what people would be hitting to if they were on the golf course.
Okay, thank you. I misunderstood that.
That seems silly.
Any other questions from commissioners? I have let me get my questions and then we'll go to the public. So you are saying that 100 feet back from these lights, there will be no measurable foot candles. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that. And are there night sky regulations that you guys have to comply with your lighting?
Typically,
Brookline?
yes. Usually it's driven by what the town code is. I am familiar with one of the other warrants associated with some of the town's lighting. I'd have to do a quick calculation as to whether or not we're meeting that as is, but we're typically close to it.
But if it's a requirement, don't you have to meet it?
Correct.
So
Currently,
right
it's
now,
not.
say that again?
Currently, it is not.
Currently, it doesn't meet it, is what you're saying to me.
Currently, it's not required to meet
Oh,
that.
currently it's not required. I see. And there's a warrant article about night skies. Is that correct? For this
That's
go round?
my understanding, yes.
It's being proposed, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And could your light, I guess you're saying you don't know what that requirement may be if it passes. And you don't,
Correct.
but if you can't pass it, then you can't do the lighting. Is that correct?
But I would say we would be able to meet that requirement. I have gone through and actually gone through the town's other facilities that have sports lighting and prepared basically an analysis and proposals based on what it would take to get those facilities to meet the potential warrant related to dark skies. So in short, this project would be able to meet that if required.
Thank you, David.
Hence the if.
Okay. Oh, and then my last question is, you said you would have a sample light out there for people to look at. Will that be mounted in a similar, are you gonna put it on a pole? I don't know.
It's a scaled down version.
Say that again?
It's a scaled down model version of what it'll look like. It's basically a tabletop demonstration.
Okay. So it'll be scaled down and you can show it that way?
Yep.
Okay. Those are the end of my questions. And so I see hands and I can't, okay. So we'll go to Jim Carroll, our former commissioner first, and then to Sean Lynn Jones. Those are the only hands I see right
So
now.
there's Michael Berger also has his hand up.
Oh, Michael Berger's his hand is covered. Okay. Oh, and I see Karen Chabon. Okay, so we'll start with Jim Carroll and we'll take it from.
Hi, Clara. How are you?
Hi, Jim.
Well,
I'm good.
hello to everybody. So, yeah, no, that was an excellent presentation, Justin. Of course, I'm fully in support of it. I've been watching the golf course grow, how you've managed the golf course, how you've really done a super professional job on that. So, and I've enjoyed the driving range myself, and I can see the opportunities available to increase revenue. And I know that you'll be managing it the same way you manage the golf course. So I have supreme confidence in that. I always leave it up to the public, the abutters and all that. But I think the process that you've embarked on is absolutely spot on and perfect. So I just am very hopeful that as you move forward and you do all your meetings and demonstrations and all that, that you'll bring the public into your fold and get this approved. But I fully support it. And I'm also going to add that if you have not been there to see Putterham Woods, to see what Justin has done there to, starting to create some paths and really, create a really good experience in Putterham Woods. He took me out there a couple of weeks ago, and I was just amazed at the possibilities and what has been done so far. So I'm fully in support, and thank you very much. Pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, next we'll hear from Michael Berger.
You're on mute,
Event.
Mike.
Good evening. Thank you very much for that information. Michael Berger, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 15, Advisory Committee. And timing, of course.
Sorry, if you could please give your address before you speak, that would be helpful.
Yeah, 112 Walcott Road. Okay, so I have to say that I'm very much been a supporter of the golf course and the work that Justin has done. It really has been great. And also, I am not actually a golfer, but I have used the driving range, and I think the driving range is a terrific addition to the to the golf course. However, I do have concerns, and although we really precinct 15 town meeting members have not met all of us, there's genuine concern among many of us with this project. Here's some of it. The golf course is really a unique piece of beautiful open space in town. And I'm saying in town, even though in South Brookline, it's right in our backyard or front yard, depending where you are. But throughout the years, I've been in town meeting almost 50 years, there have been several attempts to take this land and turn it into something else, either develop it or have some other use that had some greater financial or other use for the town, like housing. And so that's a concern. We've always been a great proponent for the golf course and have ensured that it is looked at as an area that is open, conducive and supportive of wildlife, part of a regional plan. And so what I'm concerned about is the impact of lighting on this. The other is, I just was part of the recent update of the open space and recreational plan. The committee met for a couple of years, and there's no mention of lighting at the golf course. There are, however, mentions about the golf course in the open space plan that's been submitted and tentatively accepted by the state. One is to enhance wildlife habitat value at the municipal golf course. And I'm kind of concerned that any kind of light near Putterham Woods or maybe a couple of hours extra at night, or I don't know how long we're really talking about into the night, will have a big negative impact on the wildlife. And that goes against what one of our goals and action items for the open space plan. So I'll leave it at that. I support the golf course. The improvements are amazing. And kudos to Justin and his team. But I think in your presentations, you make a very compelling business case for the golf course. I think you have to make a compelling case for the town and for the neighbors and for the other wildlife, in addition to the business case that you presented. That's all I'll say now. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. The next person, Karen, if you unmute. Karen Chabon.
Hi. My name is Karen Chabon. I live at 6 Hollywood Road.
Can you speak a little louder, Karen?
Sure. My name is Karen Chabon. I live at 6 Hollywood Road in South Brookline, the lowest point in Brookline, here in South Brookline. And I am in support of the driving range and the lights at the driving range. I am a golfer, and I appreciate the fact that there's a beautiful golf course about 1.5 miles from my home that we can go and sit out on the back deck and enjoy one of the most beautiful landscapes. You know, you don't even see West Roxbury Parkway when you sit out there. It's absolutely stunning. The reason I'm here tonight is I received an email from our town meeting member just recently, I think it was this weekend, that basically started off with how she was in opposition to the project before hearing any information about the project, which just, I wasn't really excited about hearing how someone was going to make a decision on something before hearing any bit of the information. And so I sat in tonight to hear the information myself. And it sounds exactly like some of us who were in support thought it was going to be that the lights were going to be specific to the driving range and that they were for a limited time during the night. And I just think I wanted to give my 2 cents because I really felt like it was a letter of opposition was sent in and just said how the dialogue was negative towards the project. And I just wanted to speak out for those of us who were in support of it, because we were all asked if we were abutters or near abutters. And as far as my knowledge goes, there are no real abutters. There are near abutters that are across the street on Walcott and on Newton Street, which, yes, they have a right to voice their opinion, but I believe the people who were voicing their opinion were not abutters. So I appreciate the project. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in because I was really disturbed by the email that went out this weekend.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, I know Richard Murphy's had his hand up for a while, so we'll go to Richard and then to Sean. Go ahead, Richard. Unmute yourself, please.
Evening, Richard Murphy, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 16, and on the Transportation Board. Justin has been fabulous as far as working with since he came here. I think, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, since 2021 when you came in, everybody would agree he's done a fabulous job and everything. And, with his guidance and the Friends of Puttingham Woods, we started up in 2017 as far as addressing the issues of Puttingham Woods. And there was a lot of trees, a lot of tree damage because of neglect and storms that had basically created a hazard out of this wooded area. Now, Puttingham Woods is a 14-acre piece of property that the town of Brookline has control and ownership of all 4 sides of this woods. It's the only piece of property in the town of Brookline, or I should say the largest piece of property that really represents preservative of the wildlife and everything. Now, on October 26th, we're opening up the woods with the new trails. As Jim Carroll has mentioned, that, Justin has basically taken the leadership role in this, and I hats off to him. My concern and everything is the impact of wildlife. Now, keep in mind, Puttingham Woods is 14 acres. The golf course is another 100 acres. You add the country club, it's well over 300 acres worth of wildlife. And I asked the board to keep in mind the wildlife. Basically, humans run the day, but in the evening, the wildlife basically takes over. And I'm just mindful of not impacting the wildlife with the project. And then one footnote as far as with the Transportation Board, I mentioned that with the MBTA and the Beacon Street rehabilitation of the trolley stops, we have imposed dark skies with their lighting in there, even though it is not a code yet for the town of Brookline, but we all recognize that. And it's just something that we want to be sensitive to as far as not impacting nature in any way. So appreciate you allowing me to speak. And again, Justin, thank you for everything that you do for the town of Brookline. Thank you.
Richard, could you please state your address for me?
61 Baker Circle.
Thank you, Richard. And now Sean.
Thank you very much. I'm Sean Lynn Jones, President of the Brookline Green Space Alliance. a town meeting member from Precinct 1, and I live at 53 Monmouth Street. And 53 Monmouth Street is about as far away from the driving range as you can get and still be in Brookline. So I don't have a direct concern as an abutter or a neighbor, nor do I know what my neighbors might think about the driving range and lighting, because I think my immediate neighbors probably don't know even that this project has been proposed. I do want to commend Justin, Tim, and the commission for holding this hearing, for having the meetings that are planned, and for deferring the vote until November 12th so that there can be more public input and full consideration of this. And I'll also note that I'm not quite sure how Article 8, the Dark Skies article for the upcoming town meeting, would affect this project, because that article is still going through the process. It may be amended. It may not be approved in the end by town meeting, but it does focus on trying to prevent what is called nuisance lighting that's too much glare for neighbors and abutters. I actually have, and like others, I really welcome the improvement and renovation of the Putteram Woods area, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, I hope, on October 26th, when it's going to be reopening for use of the trails by the public. Two questions, though. There were a couple of letters that were submitted as public comments on this proposal. I don't think the authors are present, although if they are, maybe they'll speak up. My questions really stem from those letters, and some of them from the previous comments. First, in a letter submitted by Jocelyn Murphy, there's a photograph taken at a driving range at a facility called McGolf in Dedham. And I have to say, when I look at that photograph, I want to put my sunglasses on. The glare is really huge. And so my question is, are those lights in the photo similar to the lights that would be installed at the driving range, or are they quite different? And maybe it's just the angle in the photo and other things. Obviously I wasn't there when the photo was taken, but you just look at that and it is bright. And second, the letters also mentioned concerns about wildlife, and those concerns, of course, are really independent of whether there are human neighbors or not. And they are somewhat related to the wildlife areas like Dane Park and Putteram Woods that are adjacent to the golf course. But there are also questions about bird migration and the effect of lights on migratory birds, whether the lights would interfere with the reproductive cycles of nocturnal animals, which could be very important to those animals, and also the negative impact on insects. So I'm just hoping, even if these questions about the impact of wildlife can't all be answered right now, because a lot of people have raised them and they were in both letters, they could be discussed. Because in David's presentation, there was a lot of discussion of the technology, the glare or the absence of glare, the angle of the lights, but less on the impact on wildlife. And I think that's a factor that needs to be considered. So I hope there'll be more answers to those questions going forward. Thank you again.
Thanks, Sean.
Claire, if I may just jump in, just in case individuals, so the letters that Sean is referring to will be posted in the packet that will be available to the public. And just to address the one letter regarding McGolf and the lighting that is included in that letter, that goes to what David was talking about the modernization of the lights that we are using. What we are anticipating and what we are looking to install is nothing like what is represented there. It's a more modern directional downlit system. So I just want the public to know that when they view that, that will not be what we are looking at for there. In regards to the wildlife, obviously that's a concern across the board that we're hearing tonight, and we plan on addressing that in a future meeting as we gather back together as a team.
All right, Jane.
So this sort of accidentally came up at the last Park and Rec meeting under the CPA, and Tim, you were presenting it as a 2028 funding issue, and then you realized the mistake and we stopped talking about it. But what you had said at the time is that there would be an extensive process over the next year around this. Now it feels very sped up. I'm just curious, is this sped up because of Warrant Article 3 with this funding put in for that? for the lights at the golf course. I'm just trying to figure out why it's a faster process than what it was initially proposed to be.
Oh.
You'll notice most of my questions, Tim, are always around process, so I'm just asking the question. I just would like to know why it feels much quicker. And yet I
So-
appreciate that it was in a public process, but it just feels much quicker than what was initially talked about.
I think the timeline in total of the project is not going to be in the next month or two. This is still going to be probably done in the springtime towards the end of this fiscal year. This is just the first step in it. So my apologies if that was I wasn't clear on that this is the first step of a long process for this to be. And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a very long project from the start of today, from this inception to actual build. And Justin, I know you were talking more timeline.
Yes, so essentially, as Tim said, we have to start somewhere, and we want to start with obviously bringing it to the commission and, inviting the public to weigh in. And obviously, there's a lot of feedback that we've received tonight and through some letters and that sort of stuff. So we need to kind of take all that into account. But then there's also capital subcommittee, there's town meeting for appropriations, and what we want to do is try to just make the best possible time to do construction if we did decide to do this work. And what we're trying to do is, obviously that we have to go out to bid. There's just multiple layers of to be able to do this. And obviously starting now is better than doing it over the winter and trying to have people out there, on site looking at a temporary light in the middle of winter is not advantageous. So in an ideal world, this is a springtime situation, but that might not even be possible with all the different, levels of process that do need to take place for this to be able to be executed.
So thank you for that. I appreciate it. But warrant Article 3 is asking for funding for this, and I do know it already went, and Melissa Goff spoke to, well, it's a little unclear where it's going. So I guess my question is, where is it going? Like, you're asking for funding for something that we don't know. We don't know through the process where it's going to land. So I guess my question is, where does it land? This warrant Article 3, there's 3 items in it, and that's one of them.
Correct. We might, there's some,
I'm
there's
sort of asking as a dual hat person. I'm asking as a town meeting member and Park and Rec commissioner. So that's why I'm asking. I'm just curious. And no one seems to be able to answer the question even at AC, which is usually pretty good at answering those questions. So.
Correct. There's some financial mechanics from the 6th floor that have to take place in order for this to even get to town meeting in November. So, it's there as a placeholder if those, activities are done in time. If not, then we have to wait till town meeting in May. So again, I can appreciate, the process that's involved in anything. We're trying to follow it to the best of our ability, but also remain nimble to take advantage of, opportunities that may present themselves. The other 2 aspects of that, special warrant is, contingency for construction, ongoing construction at the golf course right now. So, we're looking to access our retained earnings, and that is not an easy, short-term process to go through to be able to access those earnings.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're
And I
very
would be remiss not to say, as a original co-chair of Puttingham Woods, who no longer is that, thank you for all your work on that. And I'm looking forward to Harvest Fest and the tour. So thank you for that.
My
and all the
pleasure.
work that you've done, Justin and Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I'm sure we will be discussing the lighting again, but I think we're through with the discussion for this evening, unless one of the commissioners would like to continue it for any reason. Seeing no hands raised, we will move to the next article. Thank you for everyone who came in to discuss this, and thank you, Justin, and thank you, David, for very nice presentation. Appreciate it. Okay, the next is the Park and Open Space Division updates. So that's Mealy.
Yes, give me a second. I'll share my screen. Lori, you might have to make me a co-host, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening again, everyone. I'm excited to walk you through our Parks and Open Space Division update for October. We have few staffing updates. We have a couple of open positions right now. Our forestry supervisor position, which is a new position that's open right now. We have forestry zone manager position open and parks craftsman position. I do have an exciting news to share. We do have a new part-time landscape architect. Her name is Patricia Noto, and today is her first day. So we're very excited to welcome her. She has almost 7 years of experience working as a landscape architect in a local landscape architecture firm, and has done a range of impressive work from residential projects to public projects with City of Boston and institutional projects. And she will be bringing her wealth of design talent and project management and construction oversight skills for our Parks and Open Space Division. And as you all know, we get busier and busier, so we really appreciate that she's able to join our team. And you will all, I'm sure, meet with her at some point, like during our events or during Parks and Open Space, DRC events, and also likely in the commission meetings. So jumping on, I wanted to give a brief update on Brookline Reservoir. This has been a question that have been asked to us by a few residents, and some of you had a few questions on that also in past meetings. So just wanted to give an update that the state is monitoring the reservoir weekly with testing, and currently, based on their recent tests, there are still some traces of the bacteria, specifically on the eastern side of the reservoir. And we have also gotten a feedback that the signage that the health department had put out over, in the beginning of the summer when this was going on, have kind of like not some are there and some are not. So we're going to be working with them to make a signage refresh if needed. So a couple of construction updates to provide. Amory Playground, very excited to share. Here you'll see the hardwood material for the tennis court has been arriving over the last week, and all the material is now on the site. Cape and Island have started working on the tennis court, surfacing, irrigation, and they will be wrapping up their first round of work sometime this fall. And just a reminder again, before the tennis court does open later in spring, they would have to come back and do the final surfacing and finishing work. So as of right now, the drainage work is complete on the tennis court side, on the north side of the project, and the concrete work and curbing is ongoing. And as you all might know and have noticed, that parking lot and the house spawn area is now closed, and the demolition and excavation at the parking lot is currently ongoing right now. Exciting things going on at Amory. Schick Park, on the other hand, is like not as exciting. So while the drainage work is complete, the wall has, along the Addington Street, wall has been pointed, and it looks fantastic. The new mortar blends in really nicely with existing stone and existing mortar. However, we faced a small curveball on the stair during the stair construction, which you'll see the image on the right here. It just looks like a big hole right now. But during the excavation, what the contractor found out was the existing wall is essentially dry laid, meaning that the mortar is only on the face, but the back of the wall is essentially a bunch of rubble. So in order to not impact the existing wall, our contractor, our structural engineer, and our team had to work together to find out create a new solution essentially for the foundation of the proposed stair at this location. And, we're through that process. We also had a little bit of a delay with, getting supplies on the rebars, shipment of the rebars. And the rebars are a critical element for, the other places within the park where we have a lot of walls. So as you might remember the design, there are a lot of retaining walls throughout the site in order to support the grade and the programming within the park. So the rebar delay created, the construction to be a little bit on a pause. However, we received the first shipment of rebar last week. And once the rain clears up, the contractor will be going full swing with the prep for the foundations, and will likely have multiple crews working at the same time. And the park, we're hoping that this will be completed next summer. And few other projects update right now, projects under documentation. Monmouth Park Phase 2, engineering is doing their review right now. So we're very close to, going through our reviews and finalizing the documentation. Skyline Park 50% CD review is currently complete, and we're moving towards 100% CD. With both the projects, our aim is to bid these out over the winter so we can start construction early spring and not late spring or early summer. That will typically always give us a little bit of a head start with construction, and hopefully in time for fall opening. And I also just want to give an update on Griggs Park design. We have our next design review committee meeting on October 28th at 6 p.m. It'll be a virtual meeting, and I'm very excited to report that, during our survey number 2, we got over 350 survey responses, which was amazing. To get so much feedback and community input, which we do not see during the DRC meetings. So the topic specifically that we'll be looking at during this meeting will be options on the playground aesthetics. Like during our last meeting, we talked about playground layout, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. But essentially, we will be sharing a few designs, like not site specific, like sort of site specific, but mostly manufacturer, and what kind of aesthetics do we want for the park. So we'll be talking about that, and also ADA ramp, entries, and amenities. And events. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming to our Fridley Mini Forest planting. Our sustainability and natural resources team did a really, really wonderful job leading the event and really taking care of all the logistics, and our parks and open space crew, our team really helped to bring it all together. So it was a great team effort, and some of you came at the event as well. So thank you for coming and being part of the event. And we were super impressed by how much community involvement we got in this event. We got over 150 participants, and we planted around, I'd say like around 250 trees. So we're very excited to see how this will grow. And if you remember, the mini forest that we planted at Brookline Avenue playground, I believe 2 or 3 years back, it's already, the height has already taken off some of the newer trees that we planted there. So we're very excited to see the progress and it contributing to the larger tree canopy for the town. And here you can see some pictures, Michael and Clara here getting their hands dirty, not being afraid to dig, and few of our other team members and community members just having fun with the planting. And it turned out to be a really hot day, so I really appreciate everyone just being troopers and doing all the heavy work in the heat. And Stewardship Sundays, just a reminder that, this October 19th will be the last one. And, if you all are interested, please come by and lend a hand. Just led by Alex Cassie, who you all met earlier as well. So again, it's a wonderful space and wonderful opportunity for some community building. And another exciting event, which is also an annual event, is Eat, Drink, and Play at Greg's Park. And the specific, it will be on 19th October, again, 10 a.m. to noon. And the specific, goal for this year is to do invasive removals, within the wetland. So making it, gearing it up, in time for hopefully the construction next year. And that's it. And any questions?
Amelia, I have a question. I know you mentioned Skyline Park is 50%. I received a message from somebody asking me specifically about the walkway going up to Skyline Park. When you say 50% is done, 50% what will be happening in the spring, is that the walkway? I think that's what people are wondering.
Yes, like along the roadway that goes
That roadway, okay.
along the incinerator drive, I believe.
Incinerator drive. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That was
Right.
one question. And the other question is, why was the overlooked deer meadow at Dane Park? Why was that cut back?
Oh, I will need to check back. It might be a seasonal thing that we do, but did you mention at Dane Park?
It's
At Deer
the
Meadows?
overlook, and it's a deer meadow. It's actually
Deer
called the Deer
Meadows,
Meadow,
okay.
and it's actually kind of grown all year for the deer for the winter.
Okay.
To kind of be able to be in there. So anyway, it's a question, and I didn't have an answer for it, and so if you just
Okay, I will check into that, Jane, and
Okay,
we'll
I
get back
appreciate
to
it.
you.
Thank you. Those are the pressing questions out of precinct 15.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Carol? Oh, you're
You're
muted,
muted.
Carol.
I have a question about Amory. Somebody asked me recently and I couldn't remember. Is the parking lot going to be coming back in the new Amory Field?
Yes, the parking lot is currently under construction and
Okay,
it
so it
will
is.
be, yes, redesigned and
Okay.
regraded, and we're taking care of the drainage. So yes, it will
Okay,
be,
it will return.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Millie.
Thank you.
And now, Tim, it's your turn.
Sounds good. All right. Cool. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Great. Tim Davis, Recreation Director, just for my update. There we go. So staffing update, as we always begin, we are still looking for a custodian, a full-time custodian for the Recreation Department. We are just about to start the interview process, second round of interview, or second time around. We went through one full process, didn't find a candidate, unfortunately, so we reopened and we're going through a second now. So we're in the process of that hiring, so fingers crossed we have a positive outcome. And then we're also looking for a part-time assistant recreation leader, specific to assisting our full-time leaders here in the office for the Special Olympics of Massachusetts programming, Melanie, our rec therapist, as well as our athletics. These two rec leaders' responsibilities are, taken off. They are in season, so we are looking for additional help. So if you know anybody out there looking for some part-time work, weekend, evenings, as well as weekdays, please have them apply because we are looking for extra set of hands. Jumping right in, mainly this is the rest of my updates of project updates. One being the pool dehumidification. As we talked about in previous meetings, we will be entering a shutdown soon regarding our indoor aquatic center so that we can replace the dehumidification system. We do have a hard date now, so our closure is going to begin on November 10th, and we have a reopen date at the turn of the year set for January 5th. Obviously, this is weather pending, depending what the winter weather brings us this upcoming season, but our fingers are crossed that we are going to stick to that schedule. We have been updating our information campaign that has been on our website, on the town website. We will start posting physical signage around Tappan Street so that patrons are aware. Everybody who is in our system, who utilizes the pools, have received emails, have received information on the shutdown as well. So we are, hopefully reaching everybody and anyone possible. Carol, I know we owe you a blurb as well to help get the word out in your network, which we appreciate. But also just an update that we did speak about. Our biggest impact here is going to be our swim team, but we have secured alternate pool time through the MIT pool, Boston University, and then last week the Newton JCC. So we've reclaimed over 50% of our lost time in water time. And then we're also going to be supplementing the additional time with some dry land activities, dry land training with the coaches. So we still are confident that we're going to be putting out a very good program for our athletes to make sure it's still one of the best seasons we can provide. Next is the drainage project at the golf course. This is a picture from today. As you can imagine, with the last couple days, it's been quite taxing on the golf course, but we had a successful bid opening. If you remember from the last meeting, we did not, but we put it back out to bid, went through the process, and October 2nd, we reopened bids. So that contract was approved this afternoon by the select board. And we already have our pre-construction meeting next week, and then the mobilization for this project is going to occur the week after that. So we are ready to go. We're anxious to go, obviously. The contractor is ready to go. So we're, this, especially for Justin, I can't speak for it because I've only been here a year and a half, but I know for Justin, this was a very long time coming. So we're excited to get this underway. So October 27th, you'll see some movement out on the golf course. And then construction will start soon after that. So a lot going on at the golf course. Next is Putterham Woods that we've been talking about. This is a little sneak peek, this photo of what's going on inside those woods. Construction began on September 29th at the end of that month. Where we sit now is we're about 50% there. The ADA trail, the base of the trail is just about complete. We had to make a few adjustments just for grading purposes, but what you see on the screen is that sub base of that stone awaiting the laying of that stone dust for that pathway. Pictures do not do this justice. I know everyone made a couple comments today about walking in those woods. As mentioned, we are going to have kind of a soft opening sneak peek of this at Harvest Fest later this month. Where the public can walk through it, and it's really just becoming an incredible, super fun project, but just an incredible space that we're really excited for. We have a couple back, kind of like what Millie mentioned with her projects. We're struggling with some back orders on benches and some amenities, but nothing that's going to prohibit us opening it to public use. We are full completion looking to be done in the spring when we can finalize the trailheads, which we receive CPA funding for. But again, at the end of this month, these trails will be accessible, they will be usable, and we are very excited to bring them to the public. For the courtyard, which has been our ongoing since last spring over at the Sewell Early Education Center. We are about 90% done. The only thing that we are waiting for is back-ordered items, one being the music chimes, so that music feature that we're going to be providing the children, as well as the shade structure that we'll be installing into the ground over the mud kitchen of that. It is currently usable. The kids are out there every single day. We had an open house with the parents. Even though it was raining, they were out there because they were excited for it. And the best part was, I know our biggest issue was drainage and pooling and water. With all the water and all the rain we've had in the last 2 days, I was out there today, 0 puddling, all the drainage is working the way it was anticipated to work. So if the rain stops tonight, it should be completely usable and ready to go tomorrow, just blowing off some leaves from the surface. So just as a reminder, this is what it looked like, just fully concrete surface for the kids to play on. And this is currently where we're at now. So a much cleaner, much safer, poured in place rubber, just a really beautiful space. So the staff is super excited. The kids are loving it. The parents are loving it. And like I said, we just have a couple extra features to install, and then we can check this box, and we're excited to do so. Couple fun things that we've been up to. Last week, we were fortunate enough to host the 2025 Massachusetts Recreation and Parks Association golf outing. This is an annual outing that kind of spreads across the state. This year, we were lucky enough to invite them in. So we had over 30 Parks and Rec professionals, directors, assistant directors in-house enjoying our course. Great feedback from them. A great day had. Gorgeous fall weather for a round of golf in New England. I'm sorry to say I did not win, so I apologize. But I will give it a go next year. Hopefully they come back to our course and we can reclaim. But a great time had by all, and we were very fortunate and thankful to the MRPA for letting us really brag about our course, brag about our project to everybody, and enjoy a day. We had some pickleball fundraisers that were a great success. We had some fundraisers for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We had the Dink for Pink and the Senior Pink Fest pickleball tournaments. This was led by Craig Corcoran, our resident pickleball instructor and organizer. They were able to raise over $1,000 to be donated to the Brigham and Women's Hospital for breast cancer research programs and their programming there. So hats off to Craig, hats off to everybody who came. As you can see, we had an absolutely beautiful weekend to get this going. We have a very dedicated, a very loyal group of pickleballers here at Warren Park, where our office is located, and they are just a joy to have through and through. So hats off to Craig for organizing this. Thank you to everybody for donating who played. And we look forward to continuing these types of programs in the future. Since the last time we met, we had Brookline Day, which was obviously our biggest event down at Coolidge Corner. It was a tremendous success. We thought we set the bar high last year with the crowds. I think we easily shattered that this year. Every vendor, every space was getting foot traffic. We had 2,500 canvas bags to give out. We ran out in 20 minutes. So the crowd came, they showed up, they stayed the entire day. Food vendors, storefronts, everybody that we talked to was just tremendously excited and happy. The weather, again, was gorgeous. It's the key to everything. So Brookline 2025 was just a raging success. And all that credit's due to everybody in my office. It's a full team effort. And we're already planning for next year. We're taking the feedback we had and looking to improve even more. So we're excited. But thank you to Brookline Bank, as always, for their generous sponsorship of this event. The Merchants Association, everybody down on Harvard Street and around Coolidge Corner for allowing us to shut it down for a day and enjoy it. But it was a wonderful day and a tremendous event. And our next one on the calendar is Harvest Fest at the golf course. So October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2. It's a free event. It's free parking this year, as well as some designated ride share zones. That was a big feedback thing from last year. But we got food trucks. Hemlock Grill will be on site, serving food and drinks all day. We have local artists coming in, food farm stands coming in. We'll have kids' activities, face painters, inflatables, things for the family to do. And then part of the Putterham Woods unveiling, we're going to be doing some trick-or-treating in the woods for the kids to go through. So if they want to grab a trick-or-treating bag from us, we'll have our staff kind of scattered along throughout the trail system so they can get out, they can exercise, they can enjoy the woods, and also get some treats on the way. So please, if you're around, we encourage you to join us. Again, October 26th from 10 to 2 up at the golf course. And that is all I had.
Thank you, Tim. Let's see. The final thing we have is
I've got a question for Tim.
Oh, okay.
Tim, you didn't report on adult education. I'm curious how that is going.
Yeah.
And, I had some people who stopped me and said they can't find it on the website. And, I went in there today and I want to suggest, when you do programs, that one of those squares just be adult ed. And then when they click on that, it shows you what's available. Because otherwise it's scattered about. And but how is it going?
So one, I'm happy to tell you that's exactly what the website's going to look like. We're building that out right now.
Oh,
So
good,
it will have its own tab. It's going tremendously. We have our full-timer in-house, Meredith, who has taken the reins. We have our base programs that we anticipated to be popular. They are photography, ceramics, We're planning a whole slew of winter programs right now. But Meredith is busy every day. She's down at all the facilities in town, making sure those programs are going on. We have past adult ed instructors reaching out now that they know that the program is continuing. So our program base and our activities are growing. And as of right now, I can say confidently that we are looking to break even in the first year, which I know we weren't sure if we were going to. But what our projections are showing is that, our model is working when it comes to this program. So financially, we're doing very well, and we don't have any concerns there. So all in all, it's been a wonderful success. Carol, thank you for bringing it up. I apologize I didn't mention it, but it's going great.
Great.
Great news.
Okay, any other questions or comments? So the final thing on next to the final thing are reports from our Park and Recreation subcommittees. I don't know if we have any. I don't have anything new to report from the CPA committee. That's the Community Preservation Act Committee. We haven't had any recent meetings of the Green Dog Program. You got an update on the Design Review Committee. If any of the commissioners have anything to report on what they've been up to that I've forgotten about, they should let me know, let us all know. But other than that, Mile or Tim, do you have any other?
I'll just say one thing. Currently going on to our meeting is the Building Commission meeting right now. And what's happening in that meeting is they're finalizing the Committee of 7 when it comes to the ice rink selection that we worked on a month or two ago internally with our members. So just an update that Committee of 7, which is the deciding committee for the OPM for that project, I believe should be finalized by the end of tonight. And so that committee will kick into gear. The RFQ for the project is already out. So things are moving towards, or just moving forward with the ice rink in general. So everybody who's on that committee for the Committee of 7 for the ice rink, get prepared because it's coming.
But this committee is to respond to the people who respond to the RFQ.
Correct.
And to select them. And
Correct.
that's then when that committee has done it, that committee is
right. But I just want to make you aware
that
that's probably gonna come up within the next month. Those meetings will probably be set soon. So
thanks. Okay. Is there any other business the commissioners would like to bring to our attention? Seeing none, do I have anybody want to propose that we adjourn?
I'll propose that we adjourn.
I'll second that proposal.
It should be I move, sorry. I couldn't think of the word. Anyway, okay, I guess we have to have a roll call vote. Carol?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
And me, yes. So it's unanimous that we should have leave. So thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you all.
everybody.
And
Good to see you all.
Everyone, have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.